Okay, let's unpack this. For anyone following pharma, the big question around AbbVie has been, what happens after Humira? Today, we're diving deep into their second quarter 2025 results, their earnings call, the press release. Our mission is really to cut through the noise, find the key insights, and, give you the surprising facts that explain how they're pulling off this massive transition. Get you informed fast.
And what's really compelling about AbbVie right now, it's not just the raw numbers, though they are impressive. It's the strategy behind them. We're looking at a company really shifting its identity, showing how a giant pivots beyond a massive blockbuster. It's this complex mix of science, smart decisions, and navigating the market. It's more than a financial report. It's kind of a blueprint for reinvention.
That's a great way to put it. A blueprint. And starting with their financials, well, the blueprint seems to be working right. Adjusted EPS, $2.97. That's, what, $0.11 above their own guidance, midpoint. Total net revenues, $15.4 billion, over $400 million ahead of what people expected. And here's the kicker. They're raising full-year guidance, again, second time this year. Now expecting around $60.5 billion in revenue, adjusted EPS between $11.88 and $12.08. That's a big jump.
It is an $800 million bump in revenue guidance, $0.21 on EPS. That's significant confidence.
So how are they doing it? How do they keep beating expectations and raising the bar like this? What's the secret sauce here?
Well, it really speaks to the underlying strength of the business, especially what they keep calling their ex-Humira platform. Remember, Humira was, for years, the biggest drug in the world. Huge revenues. Moving past that isn't just about finding new drugs. It's about strategically building whole new growth engines. And that confidence, it comes from seeing those engines, primarily Skyrizi and Rinvoq, not just performing, but accelerating. It proves they can sustain growth post-Humira. It's those long-term R&D bets paying off.
Right. And leading that charge, no question, are those immunology powerhouses, Skyrizi and Rinvoq. Skyrizi first is just exploding. Global sales hit $4.4 billion, up, get this, 61.8% operationally. It's not just doing well, it's the clear leader in psoriasis in the U.S., across all lines of therapy, grabbing share globally too.
Yeah, but the really big story, I think, is its push into inflammatory bowel disease, IBD. Skyrizi is basically on track to double its IBD sales this year. Just think about that. Double. In the U.S., it's capturing over a third of the newer switching patients in Crohn's disease, almost 20% in ulcerative colitis, or UC. This isn't just growth. It's like a market takeover in that space.
And why is it taking off so fast there?
Well, it's a combination. Compelling efficacy, good safety profile, the dosing is convenient, and crucially, they have really strong head-to-head trial data. Like the sequence trial against Stelara showed clear superiority, that kind of direct comparison. It's huge for doctors making decisions in a crowded market.
Makes sense. And Rinvoq is right there with it, right? Also putting up outstanding numbers.
Absolutely. $2 billion in global sales for Rinvoq, up 41.2% operationally. Really strong momentum across all its approved uses, including IBD.
So together, Skyrizi and Rinvoq are...
Together, they're really reshaping GI. Gastroenterology. Think about it. Combined, they're capturing 1 out of every 2 in-play Crohn's patients in the U.S., 1 out of every 3 in UC. That's a dominant position when you put them together. Plus, Rinvoq just got approved for giant cell arteritis. That's its 6th rheumatology indication. Shows its potential beyond just IBD.
It really highlights that strategic shift, doesn't it? Moving away from relying just on Humira, this one massive drug, to this really potent, diversified immunology portfolio. Meanwhile, Humira, global sales, just over $1.1 billion, down a pretty stark 58.2% operationally.
Yep, that's the biosimilar competition hitting hard, and they expect that to keep eroding access in the U.S.
So it's a classic example of good planning.
It's textbook successful lifecycle management, really, and it shows why building those next-gen assets early is so critical. Lots of companies struggle when their blockbusters hit the patent cliff. AbbVie didn't just find replacements. They developed drugs with arguably superior clinical profiles. Drugs that stand on their own merits, even against established players. That proactive strategy means they're not just plugging holes, they're driving new growth. That's how you navigate the post-blockbuster world.
Okay, let's shift gears. Beyond immunology, their neuroscience portfolio, you said it's ascendant.
Absolutely. It's now AbbVie's second largest area, and the fastest growing. Total revenues around $2.7 billion, up a solid 24% operationally.
And what's driving that?
Well, it's impressive consistency across the board. Double-digit growth for key products, Vraylar, Botox Therapeutic, Ubrelvy, Qulipta. Qulipta actually had exceptional operational growth, but the real game changer there might be the Temple study results.
The head-to-head migraine study.
Exactly. Comparing Qulipta directly to topiramate for migraine prevention. Topiramate is, a common established first-line treatment, Qulipta showed it was superior. Fewer patients stopped treatment, and they had a greater reduction in migraine days. That kind of data, it's gold. It strongly supports using Qulipta first line, potentially shifting how doctors treat migraines.
Interesting. And Parkinson's disease. Vyalev seems to be off to a good start.
An excellent start. $98 million in sales, up 56% just from the previous quarter, exceeding expectations internationally. Patients are responding to that 24-hour effect on motor issues and sleep problems. It's apparently quite transformative.
And that's part of a bigger Parkinson's portfolio.
Right. Vyalev, Duodopa, and then there's Stevapadon coming down the pike. They see multi-billion-dollar potential in that whole Parkinson's franchise.
So they talk about becoming the largest neuroscience company next year. What does that actually mean? Is it just sales? And where are they investing to get there?
Well, it signifies a really focused push, using both their internal R&D and smart external deals. Being the largest isn't just revenue bragging rights. It reflects market influence, pipeline depth, and they're making big plays across psychiatry, migraine, and even Alzheimer's. You see collaborations mentioned like Gideon Richter, Gilgamesh, the Aliada platform. So it's not just milking existing products, it's actively buying and developing the next generation of neurological treatments, positioning themselves to dominate in areas with huge unmet patient needs.
Okay, here's where, for me, it gets really interesting. Their pipeline and innovation strategy. This seems to be about fueling growth for the next decade. In immunology, those phase 3 results for Rinvoq in alopecia areata. Wow.
Pretty remarkable hair regrowth number.
Like 54% of patients on the higher dose getting 80% or more scalp coverage, and almost half reaching 90% coverage. They're calling them truly transformative.
And comparing really well to other JAK inhibitors, that's key. Plus, they expect vitiligo results later this year, too. Huge potential there.
And then in oncology.
Some significant steps. Emrelis got accelerated FDA approval for a specific type of lung cancer, non-squamous, non-small cell, with high c-Met expression, and they're getting encouraging early data from their novel antibody-drug conjugates ADCs, like TABA.
EDCs, those are the sort of smart bomb cancer drugs.
Exactly. Highly targeted delivery. TABA is showing high, durable responses, like a 63% objective response rate in early studies. Promising stuff.
And in blood cancers, multiple myeloma.
Yeah, multiple myeloma still has a tough prognosis, right? Only about 60% 5-year survival, AbbVie's being aggressive there. They've got 3 next-gen T-cell engagers. These are biologics designed to bring the patient's own immune T-cells right up close to the cancer cells.
Kind of like a molecular matchmaker for the immune system.
That's a good way to think about it. Etentamig ISB 2001 SYM 500. They're aiming for high efficacy, but also better safety and, crucially, less complicated dosing. That improves the patient experience significantly.
And there was news on hepatitis C, too.
Right. Mayviret got approved for acute hep C. That means doctors can treat it immediately after diagnosis. Which sounds small, but it actually helps move towards the World Health Organization's big goal of eliminating HCV globally by 2030. Every bit helps.
But the strategic deals, that really catches my eye.
Yeah.
Over 30 business development transactions since last year, focused specifically on growth for the next decade, beyond Skyrizi and Rinvoq.
They're playing the long game.
Yeah, like the acquisition of Capstan Therapeutics for its in vivo CAR-T platform. Can you explain that a bit? CAR-T usually involves taking cells out, right?
Correct. Standard CAR-T is complex. You remove patient T-cells, engineer them in a lab, grow them, then infuse them back. Often requires harsh chemo first. Capstan's platform aims to do the engineering inside the body, in vivo. If it works, it could potentially offer deep, durable remission, maybe even a functional cure for autoimmune diseases without needing that lymphoablating chemo. That's a potential paradigm shift.
Wow, okay. And the Suriname collaboration with 8RX.
Another cutting-edge area. Suriname, small interfering RNA, basically lets you silence specific disease-causing genes, turn off bad instructions at the source. They're exploring this across immunology, neuroscience, and oncology. Again, targeting things that might have been considered undruggable before.
And finally, jumping into obesity. The Gubra deal for an amylin analog. How does that fit?
Well, obesity is obviously a massive market with unmet needs. They're aiming for a long-acting drug, and interestingly, they plan to leverage their existing aesthetics commercial footprint. Plus, they want to address issues with current obesity drugs like tolerability, how long the effects last, and maybe concerns about muscle and bone loss.
These are huge forward-looking moves.
Yeah.
So how are these deals really setting them up? It sounds like more than just adding products. You mentioned functional cures.
It's about acquiring platforms, not just products. These are technologies in vivo charity, RNA that could fundamentally change how we treat diseases. A functional cure for an autoimmune disease. That transforms the patient's life, and it transforms the revenue model from ongoing treatment to potentially a one-time durable effect. Investing in these foundational technologies diversifies their risk, opens up entirely new therapeutic approaches, and aims to secure really transformative revenue streams well into the future. It's smart, very long game thinking.
Okay, let's pivot now to aesthetics. The numbers there were a bit different. Sales down.
Yeah, global aesthetics portfolio, nearly $1.3 billion, but down 8% operationally. Both Botox Cosmetic and Juvederm revenues dipped.
Why the decline there?
It seems mostly tied to the economy, macroeconomic headwinds, lower consumer sentiment overall. Aesthetics is often discretionary spending, right? So when things get tight economically, that market tends to slow down compared to historical growth. It's a clear headwind they acknowledge.
But they still say they're the clear leader with strong market share globally.
They do, and that's important. Holding share in a down market suggests underlying strength.
And they have plans. New campaigns, training, new products like Trinibot E.
Right. Rinvoq E is planned for next year, a fast-acting, short-duration toxin. Gives injectors another option.
So if the market's soft right now, why are they still confident about long-term growth in aesthetics? What's underpinning that belief?
Well, a few things. First, as you said, stable market share is good. Second, globally, the aesthetics market still isn't fully penetrated. There's a lot of potential long-term growth once the economy picks up. Third, innovation like Trinibot E can help stimulate demand. New options often do. And fourth, potentially, there's that interesting synergy with their new obesity efforts. Leveraging that established aesthetic sales force could open up new avenues down the road.
Okay, last section. The external landscape and how AbbVie's adapting. It really does feel like they're playing offense and defense incredibly well, like a chess master almost.
That's a good analogy.
With Humira and biosimilars, you noted that Skyrizi and Rinvoq's success seems driven by their own data, not just people switching from Humira biosimilars.
Exactly. That independence is key for long-term stability. Their success isn't just riding on Humira's coattails, negatively or positively.
And navigating the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA price negotiations.
Yeah, they actually highlighted something they saw as a good policy change, the expansion of the orphan drug exemption. Because Venclexta has more than one orphan designation, it's now exempt from negotiation under the current rules. They see that as rewarding innovation in rare diseases, which obviously benefits them.
Smart positioning. And global tariffs. Potential EU tariffs in 2025.
They seem pretty well insulated for 2025, mainly due to inventory management. They planned ahead. Longer term, they're really emphasizing their U.S. manufacturing footprint. They already have 11 sites here, including for Skyrizi. And they've got a planned $10 million capital investment to add 4 new U.S. sites. That positions them very well for any future trade issues, makes their supply chain more robust.
It really shows remarkable adaptability.
Absolutely. This whole deep dive, I think, it reveals a company that isn't just reacting to change. They're actively shaping their own future. The strategic R&D investments, the diversification across immunology and neuroscience, the proactive stance on policy and market dynamics. It shows a clear vision for sustained long-term growth. They're building a truly resilient next-gen pharma company.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the Q2 2025 results for AbbVie really paint a clear picture, don't they? Successfully leveraging immunology powerhouses, fueling that rapid growth in neuroscience, strategically investing in a diverse, really cutting-edge pipeline for decades to come, all while navigating some pretty significant external headwinds. It's quite the masterclass in post-blockbuster reinvention.
It really is. And, it raises a bigger question for all of us watching this space. As these big pharma companies keep diversifying, integrating totally new technologies like in vivo CAR-T, like RNA, maybe even moving into adjacent areas like obesity management, how might this change the very definition of a pharmaceutical company in the years ahead? What sort of new intersections between health, technology, maybe even diagnostics do you see emerging as these giants continue to evolve? Something to think about.